Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Masters of the Universe Origins Rattlor. General Rattlor? I guess if you're a 2002 fan, that's probably what you call him. But of course, this is one of the classic Snake Men action figures here for the new Rise of the Snake Men rebranding. So if you guys haven't already seen these new packages, this is the refresh that we've got going into the new year here. So it still has a very vintage feel to it, but now we've got the Snake Men logo peering from behind the Masters logo at the top with some snake skin. We've got a Snake Men sticker on there. And as we rotate around to the backside, you can see the cross-sell says Rise of the Snake Men. And then up above that, we've got some absolutely gorgeous artwork of Rattlor doing battle with Snake Armor He-Man. You can see Snake Mountain in the background there, which is awesome to see. Beautiful artwork as always. Love the packaging here. Really, really cool stuff. So let's go ahead and get Rattlor pulled out of the packaging, and we will get a closer look at him. All right, before we get into the figure itself, he does come packaged with the mini comic that comes with all these other figures in this particular wave right here, featuring Boltman, Cobra Khan, and Snake Armor He-Man as well. So pretty cool stuff there. Always love that they're still doing the mini comics. Rattlor here is really awesome. I mean, I can't believe how vintage looking this guy is. Bringing in the tape measure, you can see he stands just shy of the 6 inches tall, just like his vintage counterpart. I will say his tail is going to cause a little bit of problem standing. Not too bad, but it's kind of pushing him forward a little bit, which is so funny because that's the same problem I always have with the vintage one. While we're on the subject of the tail, it's interesting to see that they treated this the exact same way as the vintage one. It is just made of a much more pliable plastic. It's hollowed out. It's kind of flat. It's attached to his back permanently. But the reason I find this interesting is because with Whiplash, the vintage Whiplash was also done like this, but the Origins version of Whiplash, they gave him a full 3D articulated tail. So it makes me wonder why they didn't go that route with Rattlor. Why did they decide to leave it just like the vintage one? It's really interesting to see what choices they make between different characters and how they interpret them from the vintage line. Speaking of interpreting them from the vintage line, one of the things here, just like with Cobra Khan, Rattlor's action feature has been removed. Of course, if you're familiar with that, you'll know that there was a button on his back that when you pressed it, his neck would shoot forward, like his head would spring forward and it had like a neck inside. They removed that on this one just in favor of the standard articulation that you would get in Origins. But what I think is so funny about it is this particular Rattlor still has this very big elongated torso and these short stubby legs. The reason the vintage one had that body design was to house that mechanism inside. So this is one of those things where Mattel had to decide if that was part of his look and they just kept those proportions, or if they should modify it a little bit. I know on the Classics version of the figure that came out, it was modified and he was a lot skinnier, and that did always feel a little weird to me. It felt like he should have been a little bit wider and a little bit bigger. So honestly, even though like the whole reason for his body type in the vintage line was for that mechanism, I think it's a good move that they went the route of keeping those proportions because this looks like Rattlor to me. This is what Rattlor looks like. So I don't know. This could have gone either way. I think they made the right call. I don't know, maybe you guys think otherwise. So looking at the arms here, you can see he does have these sculpted scales in the arms all the way down, even on the hands. And he does have like prominent, what looks like glove marks with the scales kind of going over it. But that's exactly how the vintage figure is. So it's really cool that they kept all those little details like that. And the same with the legs. This is a figure that's basically all unique. I think everything about this guy is probably unique, which is really cool to see. Maybe the waist is not, but it probably is because it also looks wider than the normal waist there. So we got a lot of new stuff going on with this guy. And one of the other things that's really cool is they kept the rattle in there. Hopefully you guys can hear that okay, but there is like loose plastic inside the torso of this figure. So when you shake him, he rattles just like the vintage toy. It's actually really, really cool. So, articulation there, of course, function's still the same. You can see he's got this very glossy torso here. A little bit of paint smudge in some of the spots, but it's not too bad. Still has that removable head, though, where it does look like he has no neck. Don't worry, we're coming back to the neck. The arms go forwards, backwards, outwards, bend at the elbow, swivel at the wrist, hinge at the wrist. You can still remove the arms from the torso there. The waist still swivels left and right. And even though he's got this bigger torso, still removable at the waist there. and then his short little stubby legs can go outwards, forwards, backwards. You got your bends at the knees, which have a bit of a ratchet joint to them. Swivels there at the knee, swivel where a boot cut would be, and you can actually remove his legs right there at that boot cut if you want to, and then his big snake feet, forwards and backwards at the ankles, and can rock side to side. So all in all, articulation is great on this guy. It's tight, it functions good. The tail might hinder it a little bit or get in the way of trying to stand him up straight, but really, you just got to find the right pose there, and it works pretty well. I mean, it's awesome. He actually stands better than the vintage one, thankfully. So instead of the feature where his neck extends, they opted to give him a swappable neck part. And the way that works, of course, is you just pop the head off, you put this part on at the neck there, it should just pop right on the ball joint, and it's got the same socket on the bottom as the head, and then the same ball joint at the top, so you can attach Rattler's head to it, and now just like the vintage figure, it looks a lot like it with the extended neck, but it's articulated, so you can move it around there, so that's pretty cool. It still has the big open mouth with the big giant teeth. I think opening and closing mouth would have been kind of cool, but maybe I'm asking for too much at this point because they definitely already did a lot with this guy. He's great looking. I mean, if you like the vintage one, this is really cool looking figure, and this is the same way they handled Rattler's neck in the Masters of the Universe Classics line, so they just kind of took a page from that book there to redo it for this one. Again, this is one of those cases where I do kind of miss the action feature because it was so fun, but I get it. I get why they did it this way, and I do think a lot more people will appreciate the articulation instead. And of course, he comes with a snake staff. It's just molded in the same color as his body, but he's a snake man, so he's got to have a snake staff. Really cool stuff. I will say you got to balance him a little bit better when he's got that neck extended because he's leaning way forward there. So you just got to find the right pose. The tail does not help with that. Let's see if we can get him there. There we go. Hey, there we go. He's looking pretty great. That is awesome. All right, guys, it's comparison time. Let's go ahead and stand Rattler alongside his vintage action figure counterpart so you can see the similarities and the differences between these two figures. And there you go, my friends. There is a look at the brand new Masters of the Universe Origins version of Rattler. I think this is a fun toy. I really do. I love that we're starting to really dive into the Snake Men. It looks like we're probably going to have the whole team at some point soon. They're really kind of flying through them here. Rattler was always a fun one in the vintage toy line. He was one of those guys who was very unique because he was coming towards the end of the line, and it's nice to see that they kind of transferred that uniqueness to the Origins figure here. I love them, wacky proportions and all. So this particular figure is hitting with the Rise of the Snake Men wave, which is starting to hit store shelves right now. I ordered mine through BigBadToyStore.com. Thank you guys so very much for watching, and until next time.